So
Am I looking good?
You're looking fine, man.
All right, nice.
So we're here at the new unit. This is where the artist residency will be. I am here with interview number 27.
27?
Number 27, who's first of all going to tell us his name for the record.
My name is Dominic Nelson Ashley, double-barreled. Let's see, yes. Today I am Dominic Nelson Ashley, sometimes known as Dominici, sometimes known as the Good Voodoo Society, sometimes known as the True Roots Project.
Absolutely fantastic. So, can you tell me how you're involved in the creative arts in Teesside?
Well, way back when, I moved up here in 1995. And because I'm a musician, first thing I did, I went into Studio 64. And I got involved with them. So I eventually ended up on the committee running Studio 64. So I was involved in quite a few projects there. And through that, I managed a local artist called Andy Jones. So I sorted out the recording time for his first LP, The Road to Santiago. What else have I done? I was in a drum and bass group called J-Force. I was the MC for that. What else have I done? Yeah, I've done electronic music in the area for a long time. Probably the most prolific person around here, actually, because I've got 26 LPs. All available on Spotify, Beatport, and Traxsource.
You contributed to 26 LPs?
Yeah, I've done 26 LPs.
Wow.
So, what else have I done? I had a live band, I had a 13-piece live band called the Dominici Sound Crew that performed at Stockton Festival. Oh yeah, I forgot to add, when Studio 64 closed down, I moved to Stockton and became the Tees Music Alliance. I was on the board of that as well. So I've done a lot of things behind the scenes, really. So that's it in a nutshell. Yeah, I'm one of them people who kicks people's asses, gets things done. So yeah, what more do you need to know?
What more do I need to know? I would like to know, so
why?
How did you get into music and poetry in the first place, and why do you do it, and what kind of themes do you address in your work?
Right, okay. Why do I do it? Why do I do music? I'm born that way. My parents were never that keen on music. I always thought it was a waste of time. You couldn't make a career from it. So, and my background is as a scientist. So I did biochemistry, I did science A-level. So that is the way I am, what I've been trained to do. And I think one of the reasons why I am effective and prolific is that I bring that approach to the creative work that I do. So, inspiration can take you so far, but like motivation and a process can take you even further. So music I'll always do music, whether I'm successful or not successful. That's part of who I am. Every day I create in some capacity, and most days I kick off with some music. I started off in, acoustic guitar bands. And then I got inspired by bass players. In the 80s, there were very few black faces. And the black faces you did see were bass players. So, that explains why I became a bass player. So like Culture Club, everybody's in the Culture Club, wow, Boy George. Nah, the bass player, giving it the grooves. Big country, great songs, but black bass player. So that's where I come in the 80s, as well as like all the new romantic electronic stuff. My love of bass comes from I see people like me. Yeah, and that's what they're doing, okay. And then also when you start reading the sleeve notes of records, you go oh right, okay. Who are these people? Oh yeah, I can relate to that. So, that's always had a love of music, and that combined with what I see see myself reflected, then obviously you go like, okay, Public Enemy come along, it's like, all right, the game has changed. The game has completely changed when it comes into like sampling in a way that, you know, you have these thought experiments like, oh, what if I could like take a snippet of that, take a snippet of that, a snippet of that, and then they come along and do it, but even bigger and better. So things like Public Enemy coming along completely changed my musical landscape. Because before then it was like, okay, I do acoustic guitar stuff, electric guitar stuff, indie bands. Then it's a case of like, okay, there's, you know, got my synthesizers doing stuff like that, but then okay, sampling came along and that opened up a whole new way of doing things. So I then moved into like, okay, I started doing drum and bass. I ran a drum and bass night called Beats Rendezvous in Hartlepool. We like we'd alternate between Hartlepool and Middlesbrough. Did that for a few years. But then, yeah, the great thing about sampling and electronic music, you can collaborate with anybody, anywhere. So I would do things like, okay, I'd rent out like a studio in Hartlepool, create electronic music, and then I'd bring people in from the area and outside the area, create that way, and then release that. So all the while doing that stuff, but also, as you're well aware, you know, it's very easy, you can create stuff, but if you don't actually put an infrastructure together, get the stuff out there, you might as well just not bother creating, you know, just create for yourself.
Yeah.
No, because if you create, you want to share it. And how do you go about sharing it? Okay, that's why I got involved with places like Studio 64, Tees Music Alliance. So even if it like doing stuff, facilitating stuff which isn't my particular interest, if you don't have, you know, places to go, events on, then everything will wither and die. And then when you do want to do something, it's like, there is nothing. So sometimes you can't be selfish, you've got to go like, okay, what's for the good of the creative community? You know what I mean? So yeah, so that's it really. That's where the music comes from, and the different facets of music. So, you know, I'm always want to create an experiment, but because I grew up in the 80s, I've always come from a producer mindset. Because in the 80s, it was like it's the producers who ran everything. You know, you could have an artist, you'd have hear a single one week, different artist the next week, they sound the same. Who's responsible? The person under controls. So even though I can sing and, you know, rap, well, I say rap, I rap, I don't rap anymore, because like, hey, there was a brief window when I was all right.
You're not going to give us a quick
and I could get away
now.
with it, right? But then, you know, then you had like, then people came along like Dynamite MC, you know, proper drum and bass rappers just go like, okay, I'm going to retire gracefully now. But yeah, so I come from a production aspect, so I'm always interested in like, you can do live events, but you know, you've got to have something you can listen to when you're not at the live event. So, you know, I spent a lot of time making records, making sure like, you know, recording with people like Andy Jones, Elaine Palmer, yeah, just lots and lots of different things. Then what happened? I used to do all sorts of music, but then from about 2012 onwards, I really focused down to what is known as Afro House. So what happened is that I was at Digital City on a fellowship there, a research fellowship for a year, and I was investigating ways of making money from digital platforms, and I was also doing music for film. So as part of that, I set up a record label purely to keep the brand going, because music for film takes so long. It's not the music that takes a long time, but it's the films. Yeah. You know, they're always changing, like I change this, change that. So I thought, okay, set up a record label. just to keep the brand going, ticking things over. I thought, okay, I'll release a little world music. And off the back of that, I did some experimental stuff, and I put some music, some dance music that I liked. There was no real, the style of music I was making, that type of house, nobody else was making it around here. So I put it out, and I got an offer to work in South Africa. Somebody called Mark Lloyd, he took 15 artists from over here to work with 15 artists in South Africa. And he went, right, I'm just going to throw you lot together. I say, like, what's the plan? He said, there's no plan. I said, blew my mind. Completely blew my mind, because that's not the way I work. I work as like, okay, you're going to write a song, right, we're going to start at like 10 o'clock, we're going to finish by 2 o'clock, we're definitely going to have something, this is the theme, okay, boom, 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 it's done. But he was going like, do you know what? I'm going to give you complete creative freedom. So I'm going like, hang on, hold on, let's rewind. So you're saying, you're going to fly me to South Africa, all expenses paid, yeah. You're going to pay me whilst I'm there, yeah. We're going to do yoga every morning, yeah. You're going to put me with like 14 other artists from the UK, yeah. But there's 15 artists over there, yeah. Just going to throw us in a room for 2 weeks, and just see what happens, and create some theatre production and put it on, yeah. What's the catch? There's got to be a catch. No catch. He says, I trust you so much. I think I've just got this idea, put it all together, it's going to be magical. Boom, it was superb, I'm telling you. Superb. But whilst I was there, I was in Soweto, went around this person's house, was playing some music, plays him a tune. I said, what are you doing? Where'd you get that? He says, just like, oh yeah, it's Afro House. I said, what? He said, this is in 2012. Was it, yeah, early 2012. I said, what's that? Never heard of it. He says, oh, Afro House, the kind of music we make over here. And it's like, right, okay. He says, I told him like I'm from England, I live in the north. He said, well, it sounds like you made it round the corner. And that was my second release on the label. So after that, I started listening to it and go like, all right, so for just some strange quirk, maybe it's just like, you know, Afro-Caribbean, whatever, some synergy or whatever, in the Northeast, doing my own thing, I somehow made a style of music which they were making over there. So from that point onwards, just started making more and more South African house. Well, my own kind of Afro house, which tied in with what they were doing. So I ended up having like, you know, top DJs playing my stuff. So for a while I was like, you know, just famous over there, just regular over here, can still go to Tesco's, no problem. So yeah, I've been making music as Dominic since 2012. Before that, I had lots of different names, different aliases, and you know, when I did my, production for a hip hop group called New Flesh, who was signed with Big Dada. I was just as Dominic Nelson Ashley on that production. So it's only from 2012 onwards that I had like that particular name, Dominic. What else have I done?
Are you purposely avoiding talking about your poetry?
I'm coming to that.
You're coming to that.
I'm coming to that because you said creativity, so I'm doing the music. You're trying to rush me. You're trying to rush me. What? Step back, girl. Step back.
I'm not trying to blur your art forms, man.
Come to the poetry right now. Because you can't have the poetry without the music. In fact, I got told this morning that there's musicality in my poetry. They said, how is that so? I told them I'm a musician first. How did the poetry come about? The poetry came about because I have a son who's now 21 actually, and he's studying medicine. And in his first year, he got tonsillitis, and he was really, really sick. And he was like I wouldn't say he was a chubby guy, well-built guy, and he got thinner and thinner and thinner. He had glandular fever, and he was taking all kind of medication to just get himself through the year. Because he said, like, if his grades dropped, or he took any time off, he'd have to repeat the year. Didn't want to repeat the year. It was so hard enough to get him onto the course in the first place. You don't know everything we went through. It's like, okay, these grades, these are this level of grades, remarking stuff, tutors, special courses to get on, just, you know. And the thing with that medicine is like, you know, that a lot of people reach the level, but they don't take everybody. So, you know, you worked really hard to get on, and then, you know, with the glandular fever, you just had to power through. So what happened is that he had an operation in London to remove his tonsils, and I went down for that, and on the way back, it bled, said to go back in, and then he came back up, and he basically, to cut a long story short, he was in and out of hospital like 5 times in like 2 weeks. So his mum and our daughter, they went on holiday. It was just me and him. So I wanted to capture the time I had with me and him. And also, at that time, I'm going to start behind a sec. Right. Because at that age, right, same age, my cousin killed himself. So it was like, okay, all them feelings coming back, like he's getting thinner and thinner and thinner, he's ill. Same age, my cousin killed himself. So it's like, okay. So I started thinking about my own mortality. There was a case of like, okay, if I passed away tomorrow, what could I leave him as almost like a manual of like, okay, this is my life, this is what I did, right? This is my stepping stones, this is my ups and my downs. Learn from this. So that's why I started doing the poetry. So it's truly came from that. And then I discovered I had like a poetic voice. So then it's a case of like, okay, I continue with the poetry, because it's a case of music, there's so many things you can do with music. You know, I've been doing music since I was, 16. There are, I don't want to write another 3-minute love song. I don't want to write a 5-minute love song. I'm a mad man. I'm not trying to pull nobody, you know what I mean? So, with poetry, that gives you a certain freedom. Yeah, you can get across a point with a inflection of words. Yeah, and that also tied into the performance aspect. Because I like to perform, but if you're not in a band, how do you get that performance element? So doing poetry combines those two things that I love. Well, I get a message across, the performance aspect, and there is musicality in the writing. Yeah, so it all stems from my son being sick. He's better now, eating me out house and home. But that's where the poetry started, and the next poetry collection I did was about male mental health. Like I said, my cousin killed himself, so I then thought, okay, I have a platform now. I have a particular skill set, and we live in Middlesbrough, which has the highest male suicide rate going for young people. So, and as someone who's worked with a lot of young people, I've worked in over 60 schools in the area, so I've seen a lot of things. People tell me a lot of things. I thought, okay, with that knowledge that I have, that knowledge base, I could put that information in a form that people can utilize in their own time. Because, some people, they're not going to go to counselling. Men don't show their vulnerability. They don't go like, yeah, right, I'm feeling sad today. No, they'll go and have a few pints, might take some drugs, or keep it bottled up inside, and then before you know it, they've done something stupid. Like a permanent solution to a temporary problem. So if my aspect is like, okay, if I write something, then people can men can read it and go like, oh yeah, that's me, I need to sort myself out. Or their mates go, that's you, sort yourself out. Or their partners or their, female friends are like, hey, I read this book. Oh yeah, this looks a bit like you. What do you think? So that's where the second one came from. And then, I've written more and more and more. I cover a whole range of things. I do some funny ones, some love ones, okay. So that is where the poetry comes from. And I'm on the poetry tip right now. I do more writing than I do music right now. But, after 26 albums, I go like, you know what? Does somebody really need another album from me? Yes, I've got another one coming out next month. But yeah, I'm still doing the poetry, still doing the writing, working on a crime novel. I'm not as behind the scenes as I used to be, because sometimes I think, okay, I've done my bit. It's time to give space for others to do. But there's almost like a parallel universe here, because what I haven't talked about is the creativity in the BME community, which I straddle both worlds. So, maybe, I don't know how many black people you've interviewed, but there's a thing called Taste of Africa at the town hall, which happens every year, and we pack it out. And I started it up with a friend of mine 16 years ago, because, we thought it would be a good idea to showcase the BME talent in the area and bring in BME artists from outside because this is the Northeast, they don't get to see a lot of it. That's it.
You are my first black interviewee,
okay.
as you might have guessed.
Don't know.
This is kind of how
I'm making no assumptions. I'm just chatting.
It's been really interesting. It's like I haven't naturally sought out any kind of demographic.
Yeah, it's just who's about.
It's been interesting to see how it's unfolded.
Yeah.
I have a really amazing gender balance, which I'm really pleased with.
Yeah.
Race balance, not so much.
It's me.
It's you.
Most of the places I go to, creative places I go to, it is me and one other, and then the one other always changes.
And also there's Sarah Zafar, who has been my only Muslim interviewee. I don't know whether that's because I've just met
Could
less.
Be. Well,
less. I've met predominantly white people.
Yeah. Which has just reminded me of something I've missed, right? As I said, I don't do as much behind the scenes anymore. I'm doing one thing behind the scenes. I'm putting an anthology together of BME writers in the Northeast.
So you can give me some context.
So that's coming. That should be coming out next year. So I'm at the stage of sending off emails to lots of people who I've bumped into, who've been to the diverse events, etc. And I'm okay, I'm doing this anthology. All you have to do is send it. That's it. Write it, send it. I've got an editor lined up, got somebody to do the cover and all that kind of business. It'll help elevate you. Simple as that. But we'll see what happens.
Really well. I hope that comes together.
You've got to throw it in. If you don't throw it in.
Well, you seem to be throwing lots in, mate, and it's. I've been overwhelmed to see the levels of enthusiasm and positivity at the moment, and the excitement that's building, and the hope that there's kind of funding coming in to back up. You've clearly been putting so much time, energy, and effort in for a long time in the scene here, and I've met a lot of people that are that way, and I just find it really heartening. And I think it gives us a really good chance of getting a successful City of Culture bid, but also in the meantime, with money coming in anyway, even if we don't win it, which we will, obviously. It's just really fantastic time to be part of the arts on Teesside, and it's kind of, doing this is an honour for me, really, going out and being able to talk to people, because there's stuff that I didn't know that you'd done. That's fantastic. So, this is my longest interview so far. Have you got anything else?
I give value.
I know that you've got too many hands, pies everywhere.
Maybe you can split it into two, the music and the poetry, maybe it's 2 films. Who knows?
Would you like to tell me anything else before we're done?
What?
Would you like to tell me anything else?
Right, okay. Many moons ago, I used to do, I had ballroom dancing lessons. But don't ask me to do anything now, because
Go on, we want to see a little ballroom with rap.
Hey, do you want to see a foxtrot? Is that what you...
Go on, foxtrot.
It ain't happening. It ain't happening.
Foxtrot across the camera, and then we're done.
I got a bad leg.
It has been a pleasure.
As always.
Thank you very much.